My name is Mike Bender. I'm a proud Lunenburger, raised my family here. In this video, I'm going to share the history of our Lunenburg landfill and some proposed expansion of that landfill. And I do have a lot of information here, so if you don't make it very long, the three key things I'd like to share is, one, this public hearing on July 2nd at 7 p.m. at the courthouse. This is for the major permit modification at the Lunenburg landfill that would take our landfill from up to 672 feet, making it 42 feet taller than the highest point in Lunenburg County. If that doesn't appeal to you, if you don't think that's good for the character of our county, having the amount of trash for us to be proud of, you might want to come out and voice your concerns, or either email Mr. Keehan. I've talked to him on the phone, super good guy. You could call or email him. The other thing is the Lunenburg County Board of Supervisors will be advertising for a public hearing sometime in the coming weeks and months to increase the daily allowance of trash from 1,500 to 2,000 tons per day. To put that into perspective, our county produces 2,000 tons in 5 months. 2,000 tons in 5 months is what our county produces. They are proposing, Meridian, and our board will vote on, allowing Meridian to be able to deposit into our landfill as much trash every single day as we generate in 5 months. The amount of trucks, the amount of trash on our roadsides, the amount of material coming into our county from all over the Mid-Atlantic will be a lot. And it's something that I don't think any Lunenburger would want. With that said, here is my actual presentation. Our landfill, it was started in 1977, a county landfill serving the needs of Lunenburg County. These shots, courtesy of Google Earth, show the growth of the landfill. That's not so great, but the growth of the landfill from 85 to 2012, right before it was sold to CFS. I've done some construction in the county, and I've visited this landfill many times, and I've watched the dramatic transformation of our landfill from a county landfill to a commercial operation accepting wastes from Virginia, North Carolina, New York, the District of Columbia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So like I said, this is no longer a county landfill. This is an out-of-state landfill. 98% of the wastes being deposited in our county are from outside of the county. This is per the landfill report in the Lunenburg County Board of Supervisors packet from 2023. So what type of waste are we talking about? You know, waste is kind of generic. Well, this is Meridian. These are the waste permitted in Meridian's permit with DEQ. Animal carcasses. Yes, I've seen semis of animal carcasses dumped there. But more concerning is petroleum contaminated soil, fossil fuel combustion products, industrial waste, institutional waste, sludge. These are some, you know, to me, these are some concerning materials to be brought into our county. Meridian can bring in today 1,500 tons per day of any of these materials they're permitted to bring in. So with those materials, I'm thinking, you know, that's concerning. We need to make sure we have a very well-operated and well-designed landfill. Unfortunately, this is the information that I found about our landfill when it was sold. Our landfill was required to be shut down to cease operation on December 31st, 2012, because this portion of our landfill is unlined. And when our landfill was only accepting our county waste, you know, Jack Bender's pizza crust and Mike Bender's 2x4 from whatever it is he's working on, we had a lot of control. The people who are managing the landfill live here and are very much concerned about what's going into our groundwater, etc. But when we sold it in 2013, because you have to add, I've FOIA'd, but I haven't seen the actual documented rationale behind selling it. But I assume our board did not want to install a liner, and we could have installed a liner and probably accepted material, a cell for many decades. But we didn't. We sold it. And what's so concerning is when CFS started trucking in trash from outside of our county, they didn't install it in a lined cell. They installed it in this unlined area because DEQ granted the facility 4 time extensions, which allowed them to operate from 2013 to 2018, depositing out-of-county waste in this area. Today, CFS, well now Meridian, operates line cells which collect leachate. This is a leachate tank. This leachate is collected, leachate, the water, the juice that comes out of a landfill, and it's transported to Victoria and ran through their wastewater treatment. This right here is actually just a stormwater basin. So presumably this stormwater comes off the landfill and is fine to exit and go down through the creeks. So how long? No landfills last forever. They're going to fill up eventually. According to DEQ, what is currently permitted has a life of 6.5 years. So in 6.5 years, what is currently permitted will be full. And then the landfill will not be able to take any waste. And then Lunenburg County will have to figure out what to do with its waste. Now, I know they're doing a lot of improvements in there, and they probably have big expansion plans to where they're going to make new cells and more cells, but eventually they will run out of space, and the landfill will close and be capped, right? That's how these things work. Well, when we sold the landfill in 2013, CFS was permitted for 1,000 tons per day. In 2020, they were allowed to increase to 1,500 tons per day. Per the board minutes from March 14, 2024, Meridian now wants to increase to 2,000 tons per day, and Mr. Tim Webb believes he should be allowed to move forward with this increase in daily tonnage. Meanwhile, traffic studies have not been performed. The impact to our community with the number of trucks. I stated this in the introduction. This is the most, alarming thing to me, is that at 2,000 tons per day, every single day, Meridian could import wastes, any of those wastes, in a volume that equates to 5 months of Lunenburg County's trash. 5 months of our trash being trucked in and dumped in our county every single day. So we do a little research about the folks that bought and operated our county, that deposited that trash in the unlined area of our landfill. You find out that Tim Webb, the gentleman who is just in our board chambers asking to go to 2,000 tons a day, was at the helm. He wasn't the CEO, but he was the chief operating officer of CFS when they bought Lunenburg County landfill. And they also bought the Tri-City landfill in Petersburg. So CFS buys the landfill. Tim Webb and CFS say, we've given new life. This landfill will operate for 20 to 25 years. But wait a minute. Landslides, lawsuits, DEQ, that actually the state attorney general stepped in, and Meridian landfill permit was revoked in 2019. So they lasted a whopping 5 years there. And the world needs landfills. The Richmond area needs a landfill. That's an urban area. If you choose to live in an urban area, there's a lot of waste that's produced and that has to be dealt with. We choose to live in a rural area here in Lunenburg County. But what's interesting is this was the first time a license has been revoked in around 20 years. So the violations had to be serious. And the violations were serious. they allowed leachate to escape from that landfill. They allowed coal ash, there's a lot of bad things in coal ash, heavy metals and things, to get outside of the lined area of their site. So when their landfill got closed down, Lunenburg was a real saving grace for them, because if you read between the lines, they probably, I'm speculating here, they probably got greedy, overfilled their landfill. They had to get that waste out. So lucky for them, they were able to convince our Board of Supervisors to sell our landfill, and they began trucking trash from Petersburg to Lunenburg County. Interestingly, maybe not relevant, but I do believe it's an interesting fact, Mr. Robert Guthrie, the CEO, and the chief financial guy for CFS are both in prison. Mr. Guthrie is serving a 9-year prison sentence. I believe Mr. Elko is serving a 3-year prison sentence for conspiring. They probably weren't very scrupulous folks. Some would label them con men. But if you look back through history, these guys were great philanthropists, if I can say that. Robert Guthrie is, giving $50,000 here, $50,000 there, giving away free cars to Lunenburg County. Sorry, Luther, that you're in this, but Luther's a great guy. But here's the guy that's in prison. Here's his cohort, Tim Webb, giving money to the Lunenburg County Library. And I hate to be cynical, but, are they doing this because they have great care for the community? Or are they doing this because if you go to Meridian's website, you can read what Tim Webb's job is. His job is revenue growth for the Virginia assets. It's his job. Meridian doesn't have a lot. They're one of their 2 biggest assets, I would say, with the Tri-County landfill, which DEQ shut down, and Lunenburg. Lunenburg is their Virginia asset. So revenue growth really translates into more trash, more trash trucks, more, I'm going to say, risk. No one can tell me a huge growing landfill does not come with risk for the citizens of Lunenburg County. I also thought it was very interesting that these great philanthropists, Mr. Webb had a long career with the Hopewell Bureau of Fire. This is what Meridian tells us. But we also, I read through when, Tim was instrumental in getting the contract for trash collection between Container First and Hopewell, which is now operated by Meridian. But when Meridian Waste and Tim Webb wanted to break their contract and increase their collection rate by 40%, the city council balked, as they should. Well, Tim Webb and Meridian must not have liked that, because they sent their attorneys to go after city council and sent them threatening letters and said they would stop collecting trash on July 31st, 2022, unless the rate hike was approved. And Mr. Webb called this just an attention grabber. Well, I would call it a threat, just my opinion. I think that's a fair adjective for what they did. And I guess what it shows me is this operation, if they don't get what they want, they are going to send attorneys at you. They're going to send money your way, but they're also going to send attorneys. So, why in the world would, I think every Lunenburger, anyone with any reasonable person, nobody wants a big multi-state landfill operation in our county. The only reason it is here is because the county receives host fees. And our Board of Supervisors have chosen to take a path where our county is dependent on trash importation. We are financially dependent on trash being pumped into our county at greater and greater rates. But what else is interesting is that this is all 95 counties in the state of Virginia. Lunenburg County has the 95th out of 95 real estate tax rate. And I know there's members of our Board of Supervisors that tote that. They're very proud of that. They like to tote that and tell people that, and that's just a product of great management, is what they would tell you. Interesting to me is if you look at 2020, the budget year for Lunenburg County runs July to July. Meridian Waste gave us right at $600K. Lunenburg County gave us $600K. If we had a tax rate of 46 cents per hundred, we would have been ranked 93rd out of 95 counties, and we would have generated $766K in revenue, more than enough to offset the trash money that we received from 2022 to 2023 fiscal year. It all comes down to, what do you value? Do you value clean roads, clean water, the rural character of our county, the reduced risk to our clean water? Or do you value being able to brag about having the lowest taxes in the county? And to put things in perspective for me, our neighbor to the west, Charlotte, we're partners in the Soil and Water Conservation District with Charlotte County. Here's Lunenburg and there's Charlotte. That's our partner to the west, our neighbor. It's amazing how similar Lunenburg and Charlotte County are. Population, look at that, within a few hundred. 11.9, 11.5. This is 2020 census data. It probably hasn't changed a lot, honestly. Income and poverty, this number has increased dramatically since I've lived in Lunenburg County. Our median household income is now $54,000 a year. Charlotte County is $51,000 per year. Charlotte has a little less household income than us. But interestingly, Charlotte is, bottom middle of the pack in real estate tax rate, 62 cents per hundred. I'm not suggesting that we go to 62 cents per hundred. I know people would be running around with their heads on fire. But the fact of the matter is, Charlotte operates very efficiently at 62 cents. And with that amount, at that tax rate, they don't have to truck in trash from all over the Mid-Atlantic into their county. My point here is, if you go to your Board of Supervisors and say, we don't want all this trash coming into our county. We want it to stop, or at least stop at the rate where it's at today. We have enough trash trucks on our roads and enough trash going into our county. They are going to tell you, because I've heard it myself, oh goodness, we need all revenue streams possible. The tax burden would just be astronomical. I say that argument is false. 93rd versus 95th. I think we could live with that. I think that that's more reasonable. So let's talk about reasonable. Landfills are typically found in industrial areas. This is what planning is about. And Lunenburg County has a comprehensive plan, and it indicates where the industrial areas are in our county. They're shown here in this little diagram. They're located in Cambridge and Victoria. But our landfill is not located in industrial. It's located way out here on Old Mansion Road in an agricultural area of the county. Is this a good use of our agricultural area of our county? Very much off of a county road with no direct highway access. Our comprehensive plan only mentions a landfill in one location. And while they do note that it's privately owned, they reference it as a county landfill. This is not a county landfill. There is a huge difference between a county landfill taking our pizza crust in 2x4s and a landfill receiving wastes of all varieties from 7 states at a rate 47 times more than the waste that our county produces. I do not believe that the operation of this commercial landfill in this location is in keeping with the spirit of our comprehensive plan. Additionally, we have in Lunenburg County, you can go to Muni Code and look it up, we have codes and ordinances. And because a landfill is not permitted in an agricultural area, by right is the term, our landfill, Meridian, operates under a conditional use permit. This allows for a non-conforming use that is, described as generally appropriate. A non-conforming use that is generally appropriate to operate in that area. My question is a landfill accepting 1,500 tons of waste per day from 7 states in the District of Columbia a generally appropriate land use in an agricultural area? I don't think so. Have the Board of Supervisors impose such conditions as reasonably necessary to ensure the use will be compatible with the surrounding areas? I don't think so either. There's also a very specific ordinance about the siting of a waste management facility and a change in the size. Did the Board of Supervisors exercise reasonable care applying the county solid waste ordinance when permitting CFS and Meridian Waste to operate and expand the landfill operation on Old Mansion Road? I don't think so. I think the operation there today is outside of the reasonable interpretation of Lunenburg County's Code of Ordinances. And I think for sure an additional expansion of the daily tonnage waste, the daily tonnage limits, is almost irresponsible. So what can we do? Well, let's go back to this right here. What we can do if you are a resident of Lunenburg County and you do not like the idea of an expanding landfill operation in our county, you can join folks, like-minded folks, at the courthouse on July 2nd at 7 p.m. to voice your opinion about the landfill operation. You can tell DEQ. There will be an advertisement for a public hearing for the conditional use modification to allow Meridian to go to 2,000 tons per day. I really hope that doesn't happen, because the rural character of our county is valuable and should be protected. If you made it all 23 minutes of this video listening to me, God bless you. I am passionate about this. I hope we can find a reasonable, I hope our Board of Supervisors and our community will work together to find a reasonable way to manage our way through the landfill operation we've allowed to be permitted and expand on Old Mansion Road.